Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Thomas Expert Series. Thanks for joining us today. Please double check, make sure your microphones are muted for me. And I want to see where everyone is tuning in from today. Let's see what we've got here. I see New Hampshire, Norfolk, Philly. Got a bunch of stuff.
Everywhere.
Virginia, everywhere. Where are
We
you
have
at,
anyone?
Andrew?
I'm out
Utah.
here in Somerville, Massachusetts, so right out of Boston area.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah. But
awesome.
it's kind of overcast out here. It's not super hot. It was raining yesterday. But how are you guys doing down in Puerto Rico? Is it still pretty nasty weather down there?
Oh, when I got here it was good. So we just passed over the northeastern tip part of the island.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you guys are okay down there.
Oh yeah.
Great to
Trinidad
see
and
you made it
Tobago.
home.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Andrew here today to talk about education and beyond, stockroom management 101, best practices, do's and don'ts.
Awesome. Thank you, Heather. Thank you all for joining this afternoon. I'm going to share my screen. We've got a presentation going that we'll go through, and then we'll answer some questions towards the end of this. Are you guys seeing my screen with the slideshow on it right now?
Yep,
Yes,
looks
sir.
good.
Okay, cool. So yeah, again, thank you all for calling in. It's looking like we got a lot of people from all around the U.S. and even some international folks there. So super excited to talk to you guys this Friday afternoon about something that's near and dear to my heart, which is stockrooms. So my name is Andrew Darris. I am Thomas Scientific's Director of Education. I've been doing this for a few years. In my role, I help to oversee the university market nationwide for Thomas Scientific. And I also help to support our local account management team to make sure we're bringing the highest level of support to each of our university customers. Stockrooms play a vital role at each of the universities to help keep research going as well as teaching labs up and running. So I'm thrilled to share some of these key findings and best practices for stockroom management that we've been able to kind of collect from supporting numerous stockrooms across the U.S. Throughout this presentation, I'll commonly refer to stockrooms at universities, but it's important to note that these stockrooms also exist outside of the university setting. So, this information should still apply to those stockrooms as well. For a quick logistics, we have everyone muted here. So if you guys have any questions during the webinar, please chat them out using the chat feature. Heather on our team will be monitoring the chat and keeping up with the chat during the webinar. And we'll be sure to address all your questions at the very end. I'd also like to apologize in advance here for any coughing or sneezing that might happen during the webinar. Unfortunately, I woke up a tad bit sick yesterday, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to rest it off this weekend. Let's see, this slide will advance. There we go. Cool. So for a quick agenda for the webinar, we'd first like to talk through a quick overview of the major functions and value adds that stockrooms offer so we can better understand why stockrooms are so important. We'll then dive a bit deeper into some of the challenges that are currently impacting stockrooms, and we'll help talk through a few ways that Thomas Scientific's been able to help stockrooms conquer some of these challenges. We'll then finish off the webinar with a quick summary of best practices in stockroom management, leaving roughly 10 minutes at the end of the webinar for Q&A. So to help start this off, I wanted to get a comprehensive list of the value adds that stockrooms perform across the nation. As you can see, stockrooms provide a lot of value to the research community in a lot of different ways. Every stockroom may not perform all of these functions. So, this is not to say this is an entire list of what they might do. While we're doing this, if you do see something that your stockroom isn't currently performing, it might make sense to note it to see if it makes sense to add to your stockroom to add better value to your campus afterwards. From a high level, stockrooms have a physical location on campus, and they keep commonly used research goods in stock. By keeping inventory on site, researchers are able to keep their research going, so they're not having to wait around for products to do their research. Most research labs have limited space, so a stockroom helps to alleviate storage concerns Research often also involves hazardous chemicals, so stockrooms greatly help to improve safety by keeping and being one major location on campus to provide properly vented chemical storage that meets fire codes. Many research items also need to be kept cold, ranging anywhere from 4 degrees centigrade all the way down to -90. So stockrooms help to keep some of these items fresh and readily available on campus in this cold storage. Another major value add that stockrooms provide are cost savings in a few different ways. So first, stockrooms are able to buy in bulk, which can help with bulk discounting that an individual lab may not qualify for. Additionally, vendors are often able to pass along further discounts so that stockrooms can mark up their products to cover their operating cost when reselling to campus. Second, stockrooms tend to have favorable shipping terms in place for free or reduced shipping with minimal additional shipping fees. So a lot of times vendors will charge a lot of additional shipping fees for chemicals, including hazardous handling fees, ice fees. So cost savings, so you guys can buy in bulk, that gets passed along. Also, the ability to have favorable shipping terms in place. So we can work with you to get your shipping terms for free or reduced shipping, potentially help to remove some of those additional shipping fees. And then also there's the ability to get net payment terms in place that stockrooms already have, that they can pass those payment terms along to their end users. Stockrooms also have the ability to break down cases into lower units of measure. So, for example, a lab may only need 1 or 2 beakers that they of each size, and a vendor may only sell those in 10 case of 10 of them. So, stockroom plays the function of being able to take that case, breaking it down, and selling it into the lab in 1 or 2 increments at a time. At public universities and institutions using grant money, it's really important that their procurement laws are followed. So stockrooms play a function in that procurement and making sure that they have contracts in place with their vendors. So that helps to alleviate some of the administration work and extra work with buying from a lot of different vendors at once. We'll talk about that a little bit further here soon as well. Many stockrooms provide further value to their campus by delivering orders directly on the campus and by doing special ordering for items that they're not stocking in their stockroom. When a lab buys most of its commonly used items through a stockroom, it also helps to alleviate some administrative burden around order tracking and billing support. This admin work can be quite high for labs that are ordering from a lot of vendors versus only ordering from the stockroom. So definitely a lot of time savings there that they're given to their end users as well. And then, some things that I've seen across the nation too, this isn't as common, but stockrooms also, might do things like create solutions or media preparation on site for their labs. We've also seen some stockrooms that do small equipment calibration and maintenance. So again, this is a pretty comprehensive list here. I'm sure there's some functions that I've left off here, but by taking a look at this, you can see some true value that stockrooms are bringing to their research community. Let's see, this will go forward. There it goes. Cool. One of the things I did before this webinar was I actually interviewed a bunch of stockrooms. And while I was doing that, I was able to kind of deduce 4 different stockroom challenges that are currently existing in their space. So the first one that came to mind was kind of the COVID-19 pandemic and the supply chain issues that happened during the pandemic, but then also after. So the pandemic started with the stockrooms not being able to source a lot of their commonly used items, and then after that COVID went away, there was issues with a lot of oversupply happening. So vendors shipping what they were able to ship and creating some overstock issues. Second, we have issues with inflation. We've all felt that in our pocketbooks, but stockrooms are also feeling that very heavily right now. One of the big things I heard was that they're really being squeezed thin right now by the researchers to really maximize every dollar that the researchers are getting in their grants. Third, we're seeing a big change in research techniques across the scientific space. So it's requiring stockrooms to keep aware of the newest research trends and also make sure that they have these new products in stock that are used for the research. And then finally, technology's really been evolving quite heavily with AI and other automated processes coming out. So this has caused kind of two things going on. The first is that, we're seeing that end users are starting to have the ability to order around the stockroom a lot more. So the stockroom is going to have to remain a lot more relevant to end users and show that value. But then also you can use this technology to help automate your processes. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into each of these challenges and kind of pull out some of the key findings for each of these from the interviews that we conducted. So for the supply chain challenges, one of the stockroom managers that I interviewed said something to the effect that the pandemic showed us that we can't rely too heavily on one supplier, and we need to have alternate suppliers qualified and ready to go. So, at Thomas Scientific, we're happy to be a secondary supplier to make sure that you have an alternate supply readily available when needed. This same stockroom manager also sang some praises about us offering a really high level of support that we were able to keep their stockroom going during the pandemic. With the record-breaking inflation that's happened, one of the stockroom managers said that we need to make sure that we have that we're getting products at a cost-competitive price more than ever, so researchers can maximize their every grant dollar. This same stockroom manager was ecstatic that Thomas Scientific was able to offer competitive pricing at their top usage items and reduce their cost of shipping, which also allowed the stockroom manager to pass those savings along to their end users. And they told me that they were, quote unquote, a hero for their research community. One of the trickiest parts of being a stockroom manager is that you have to be really aware of what the newest research trends are. And also in laboratory distribution, we've seen that only roughly 30% of all items are ever reordered. So it makes it really hard to figure out what exactly you need to have in stock for your researchers. Many of our stockroom customers have greatly appreciated our support in sharing what items we're selling across campus, so they can make changes in their stocking as needed. They're also been super happy with our technical team, our technical workflow team, that's able to help go in there and teach them the new techniques that are being used across campus. Finally, to get into the evolving technology challenge that was mentioned several times, one of the interviewees that I talked with mentioned that technology has changed significantly over their time as a stockroom manager, and that they've had to learn how to use it so that they can become more efficient and to avoid getting phased out. This manager also mentioned that many end users have started to order direct from the vendor off their campus's e-procurement site rather than through their stockroom. So they definitely appreciated our support in helping to market their stockroom out to the end users. This manager was also appreciative of our ability to integrate with their university's e-procurement site. And we were able to do it such that we could still pass along their discount to them, and they could remain competitive when reselling to the end users and still make their operating margin. So now that we've talked over some of the current challenges, I did want to tie this a little bit back into how we can support stockrooms here at Thomas Scientific. So, it's really the support starts with your guys' dedicated local account manager. But that being said, we also have a fully US-based customer service team, and there's the ability to self-service on thomassci.com, which is getting even better. But we're fully ready to help you out as you're trying to go through your issues as a stockroom. We also have a comprehensive list of over 800,000 SKUs from over 2,000 vendors. So it's very likely we carry the exact or an equivalent alternative to a vast majority of what you're already ordering for your stockroom. We have a total of about 12 warehouses across the US. So we can use those warehouses effectively to keep inventory in stock at the warehouse near to you as well. We're fully ready and able to integrate via e-procurement integrations to help alleviate some of that manual work with placing orders. If your campus does have an e-procurement site in place, we'll dive into the last two bullet points a little bit more in the next slides, but we also have the ability for reserve inventory and VMI programs, and we can help to get cost competitive, publicly bid award cooperative contracts in place to make sure that you can easily order under contract from us as well. So there's a lot on this slide, I know, but this is really to overview some of the different levels of VMI or inventory management solutions that we're able to offer. To point back to some of those challenges around supply chain that we discussed earlier, we do have different inventory management solutions here to alleviate some of that stress. We currently have about hundreds of customers utilizing different levels of our inventory management solutions. That can start as simple as having reserve inventory in one of our warehouses, all the way going through Thomas Scientific staffing, an on-site VMI coordinator to run the stockroom, and also we have the ability to use a cloud-based inventory software called ClearSpider. With our reserve inventory program, we can work with you to help warehouse 2 to 3 months of your top usage items in one of our nearby warehouses, which will become dedicated inventory that only you can order from. If your stockroom ever needs help keeping track of inventory, we do have that customizable software solution called ClearSpider that helps us keep track of the inventory that's on your shelves, and it allows for auto replenishment of orders as your inventory dwindles down and hits the reorder volume. We're more than happy to do a follow-up call after this webinar to discuss your current stockroom and see what kind of level of VMI might work for you. So please reach out after this if you'd like us to do that. And then, really to point back to this inflationary challenge of, having to get the researchers the best use of their grant money, and also to follow the procurement laws that we discussed earlier. We have several contracting solutions that the stockroom should be able to easily utilize. These include contracts like NASPO Value Point, Omnia Partners, and Sourcewell. We also have several others that are more state-specific that we can easily tie to your Thomas Scientific account. With each of these contracts, you'll have access to discounts of our full catalog, receive free ground shipping with no additional shipping fees, and then also be able to satisfy your state procurement laws. Again, after this call, we're certainly happy to sit down with you and talk about which cooperative contract might fit best for your given circumstance. To finish up the webinar, we really wanted to point back to some of the conversations I had with these stockroom managers to summarize a quick list of the best practices of stockroom management, some of the do's and don'ts, if you will. First, it's important to make sure that you know your end users at your university so that you're understanding their individual needs. Every lab has its own specific needs, so you need to figure out what types of products they might be needing, and so that you can have those readily available and to see if there's any other ways that you can support them. Similarly, it's important for the researchers to know that your stockroom exists. So you need to market your stockroom, especially as new researchers come onto campus. Many stockrooms do this by having online websites, emailing out monthly newsletters, handing out and posting flyers across campus, working with your vendors and having regular vendor shows to show off different products that you might be stocking. As we briefly chatted about earlier in this webinar, it's also extremely important to have an inventory tracking process in place to make sure that you have the proper amount of inventory in stock. ClearSpider is a great solution if you don't currently have a process in place. In addition to your automated inventory tracking, it's important to be doing manual accounts of your inventory so that on a somewhat regular cadence, maybe every quarter, you're accounting for any breakage or loss that might have happened and to get rid of expired products. It's also greatly important to learn new trends and network with other stockroom managers So I'd be remiss if I didn't give a message out for the National Association of Stockroom Material Managers, or NAOSM. NAOSM is a great professional organization to join and participate with if you're not already a part of them. And their organization is focused around continuous education and networking for stockroom managers. For DOTs, it's important to be mindful of overstocking, especially with items with short shelf life. This points back to that inventory tracking that we mentioned as well, which can help to make sure that you're not overbuying. You also don't want to fall into the trap of just bringing in inventory for one of your labs. You want to be more focused on bringing in items that apply to numerous labs within your university. One other thing that you want to be mindful of is trying not to overstock bulky items. Instead, if you're able to take those bulky items and work with your vendor base to see if they can warehouse those for you, that'll help to alleviate some of the shelf space and allow you to have more products on your shelf. Pointing back to the supply chain challenge we talked about, prior to COVID, it was customary to try to rely on just pushing as much spend through one of your vendors. But COVID really showed us that you need to have multiple vendors available and make sure that you have a backup supplier available in case your primary supplier is out of stock. To that point, it's also helpful to have an alternate part available and validated by your end users in case that exact part number is not available. One of the resounding pieces of information that I heard during my interviews with the stockroom managers is that you shouldn't do it alone. It's extremely important to work with your end users and procurement team on your campus, your suppliers, and your fellow colleagues at other universities, so that you guys can continue to learn and get the best support you need as new issues arise. So I certainly interviewed a ton more folks, but these folks were gracious and allowed me to utilize their name here. So I'd like to say a special thanks to Dave, Tracy, and Elaine. Again, several others helped to contribute to this webinar. I'd also like to thank some of the other stockrooms that we've been able to support. And this has allowed us to really become experts on supporting stockrooms. And with that, I'd like to thank you for attending this webinar. Here's my contact information. I'm more than happy to connect with all you guys over the next few weeks. If you have any further questions about your specific stockroom, I believe a recording of this presentation will also be available on the Thomas Scientific Expert Series page. So you can go back, rewatch, or forward along to your colleagues. I believe Heather's been following the chat, so I think it might be good for us to go start answering some of those questions, and I'll come back out of the back to you guys. Heather, you good to start?
Yeah. So
Sweet.
I just want to take a quick second just to show you that we do have some literature that Andrew spoke about today, as well as some web links and some videos. And he did mention that our talk will be on demand. It will be on demand within 24 hours. So you can click on this and you can see all of our talks. And then also on this side over here, we have some offers and some other pieces of literature. So feel free to hang out, check everything out. And I will go ahead and turn it back over and we'll see if we have any questions.
Sweet. Thank you, Heather. Yeah, and there's some good links within that booth. I think around the cooperative contracting, if I remember correctly, that's in there, and then also some more on our vendor managed inventory programs. But yeah, I think I'm seeing, just scrolling through here, and it looks like the first question might be from Michelle Sharp, saying, does Cloud Spider track consumables inventory or just chemicals? So great question, Michelle. So that the Clear Spider software that we have can be fully customized to track any kind of products that you might have, including consumables, chemicals. If there's other parts that you're not even getting through us, for example, we can put those in there. So it's fully customizable to get any kind of parts that you need through there. And then it looks like Diane asked, how is Thomas Scientific different from some of the other laboratory distributors? So great question, Diane. So around laboratory distribution, we are the largest pure play distributor. And what we mean by that is that we don't manufacture any of our products. So that's a pretty big differentiator because maybe the larger distributors in the space are manufacturing their own products. When our account managers go into the university and each research lab, they're really focused on trying to get the best products that fit the individual need for that researcher rather than selling, a Thomas brand. So we do have Thomas brands, but those are manufactured by large brands, and we do buy them in bulk and bring them in stock and are able to offer high quality products. But certainly, that's a huge differentiator is really that pure play distribution of our distribution. Also, we are qualified and registered on SAM.gov as a small business. So if there's some kind of need for diversity spend, happy to share that information. But the larger guys don't qualify for that either. And some of the larger research institutions we work with have us as a small business through that SAM.gov registration. Hopefully that answers your questions there, Diane. Again, but as I'm reading through this too, if I'm not answering your questions fully, please just come off mute and ask. But it looks like somebody else asked, how do I go about creating an account and getting going with Thomas? Great question. So it's pretty simple to get going with us. We do have a quick account form, credit application to fill out if you do want credit with us. And then from there, we create your account. We get you in touch with your local account manager, and then we can talk further about loading discounted pricing and other things that you might need loaded to that account. But with that too, once your account number is created, we can get you logged into thomassci.com. You can have multiple logins. So if you have multiple people working in your stockroom, they can each have a login to access that discounted pricing. And then from there, again, you'll be working really closely with your account manager, and we'll be happy to go through any other needs that you have there. Beth, it looks like you had a question about our reserve inventory program and how that works. So, that's a good question there. So, in terms of the reserve inventory program, really what we need to know is the parts that you want us to have in stock and kind of what your monthly usage of those items might be. We'll work really closely with you to make sure that we're getting the exact part. So having the manufacturer part number of what you're interested in using is going to be super helpful. And then we'll also, again, try to forecast how much you're using on a monthly basis so that we can really make sure that we have 2 to 3 months of that inventory in stock in a warehouse nearby. There is a small commitment to saying that if we do get the reserve inventory program going, that you'll take that product, but it really has helped to streamline a lot of folks' workflows and making sure that they're not running out of products. So we can definitely go into more depth of that and be happy to chat through that if you have any specific needs. I'm going through here. I think I've rambled through most of that. Do we have any other questions?
Nope, I'm not seeing anything else. Oh, Patrick.
Uh-oh. Patrick asked a question. How long does it take after initiating the VMI before it's up and running? So that's a great question, Pat. So it really is dependent on how large of a VMI you're looking for. I kind of alluded at this earlier, but that a VMI could be as simple as just one product that we warehouse for you and make sure that that's in stock. So that could be done pretty quick. When it gets into a more on-site type representation, there could be some more time qualifying what you need us to do exactly. So I guess that's kind of an open-ended question, but we really do want to make sure that we start at the level of VMI that works best for you, and then take over more products as needed. Is there a minimum size for a VMI? So yeah, great question. There's not a minimum size. We can really get that going with as simple as one product. But certainly we'd like to grow to more products and make sure you guys are happy with us, even with that initial product we get going for. Great questions there, Pat. Do we have any other questions?
Doesn't look like it.
Uh-oh. Bored them all to death.
All right. And again, this talk will be on demand within 24 hours. So if you enjoyed it, please let your colleagues know and how to find it. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, Andrew, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks, Andrew. Great job.
Thank you.
Have a
Great
great day,
job.
guys. Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye.
Andrew. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Feel better.